All right, so look at this. This is, okay, we're doing pretty good on time. This is the steroid pathway. And how this works is, and I'm just trying to, this is an introduction, and I try and make it as simple as possible. But what I have circled there is progesterone. And you see progesterone is high up in this whole little cascade of things. And progesterone, all the other hormones are dependent upon progesterone doing what it's supposed to do. And here are the two things it can do. It can go to the right, and that's enzyme number 5. Enzyme number 5 is 21-hydroxylase. And what 21-hydroxylase does, it takes that 21-hydroxy group, which is an OH, and I think I'll show it to you on the next slide, and it takes it off so that it can move down the path of mineral corticoids. Or enzyme number 3, 17-alpha-hydroxylase, can put a hydroxy group on the 17 position, and it doesn't matter where it is, but just believe me, it makes a change. And then it can move down toward androgens and estrogen and cortisol and all of that stuff. All right? So it's very important that you have the right substrate to work with so that all the other stuff will go smoothly. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? And if you don't have the right starting point, you're probably not going to get the right ending point. Okay? So that is the 17-hydroxy position. That is to make it go down, okay? You have to be able to put an OH group right there where that acetyl group is, where that arrow is not really pointing to, but where that acetyl group is, okay? Now, all you biochemistry and chemistry majors, in order to get that there, because you can only have 4 bonds to a carbon, right, my pharmacist? Okay? So then I'm going to have to remove that in order to put my other thing there. I can't just stack it on top, right? So therefore, I would need an enzyme that would cleave that off. That would have to be a 17-acetylase because they have to take that acetyl group off. Okay, so what we do is we go back and we look at our little chart here and see if we see an enzyme to remove that little thing off so we can put that hydroxy group there. So why, let me ask the future Mrs. Himes, why wouldn't the body have an enzyme to remove that? That may be too tough a question. Let me tell you why. You know why? Because Provera has only been around for 40 years. How long have women's bodies been around? Okay, see? Yeah. So why would God need to put an enzyme in to take off something that he didn't put in the original equipment? See, unless the pharmaceutical industry has a red phone hot wire to God to say, hey, we got this new drug. Can you please add in these new enzymes? Because we're going to need those. Because for our drug to work like this other one, we're going to need a little modifications to the blueprint here. Now, see, that's when you really need to have a religion. If you're going to, we really need to have this be a religion if we're going to get that. But unfortunately, there is no religion for that, and so they don't have a red phone to the guy. So you don't have an enzyme to do that. So what happens is that when that Provera gets in that red circle there, those enzymes are looking at it like, as my daddy would say, a cow looks at a new gate. I never knew what that meant, but somehow cows get confused when you put in a new gate. So that's how the receptors are looking at that Provera, and those enzymes are looking when they see that weird thing sitting there. So enzyme number 3 and enzyme number 5 don't work on Provera, and so you don't know what that characteristic effect will be. And so therefore you have to do studies 30 years down the road to find out that Provera really causes some bad things to happen. When you use bioidentical hormones and you measure the action appropriately, you have a blueprint to know where it's going to end up. When you create a new drug, you don't have that blueprint. So it's always the scariest thing that I hear in my practice is when a patient says, I'm on a new drug. That should scare everybody. Because 10 years down the road, you're going to find out what that drug, what system it screwed up. My favorite word is old drug, Bactrim, ampicillin, been around 50, 60 years, we know won't kill you. Okay, so anyway, let me move on. I told you I'm used to being able to submit. Okay, so